$1,020. So under, and actually that amount would be $7,376.45 on the average single-family rate house. Under 797, which is the split tax rate, the residential class would decrease by 30 cents. However, the commercial, industrial, and personal property class would increase by $8.04, adjusting the rate to $24.11 for those classes. So a single-family house would have a decrease of $907, while a commercial, industrial, and personal property would have an increase of approximately $5,300 if we choose the split rate. Is there anything else you'd like to go over before we, and that's based on sales, the analysis of the sales for, calendar year 22. So we've seen, and it's not just in one type of home, it's spread across. So it's a little rough. I can tell you that looking at the average values, like last year over year, so 22 was 367,171, but the rate was 1898, which was $6,968 in taxes. Last year, the average was 412,579. Eventually, they'll see a different rate. I mean, my own personal home was about $300, almost $400. So it just depends on where you hit on that value range. So, any other questions? Any other information? Kirk?
Yes.
I'm giving him time.
No.
Okay.
I'm good.
Okay, so now we can get to the questions. Question 1 is we choose either Factor 1 or Chapter 797, which is the split rate.
Yep. Aye. All right.
Okay.
On to question 2.
Question 2 is to allow a discount for open space. Now, I will have to say that since Paxton has quite a few chapter land properties, we've never offered it. However, that's, so the full-time residents are allowed an exemption.
What are we doing currently?
We do not allow an exemption because we don't have vacation property.
I would move to stay the course.
So not allow. So not give an exemption.
Correct. That's my motion.
Okay.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. Question 4.
And question 4 is to allow a commercial exemption for those small businesses that have 10 employees or less.
And in the past, we have, just to be clear, we have not had
We have
a
not
commercial
allowed
exemption.
I'd make a motion.
Yeah, yes.
You won't get a reduction.
Excuse me?
You won't get reduction in
No.
taxes.
Yep, the rate is gone down, but because the value of your homes are up, the amount should be approximately the same.
Wow.
Yes, yes. And I will be posting the values on my page probably by the end of this month, first week of January. I have some other, therefore, to meet with any veterans and to meet with any seniors that may have questions or need assistance filling out the exemption forms.
Right.
So,
That's the form that goes to the state.
because I get an awful lot of calls on that, and Cindy refers quite a few to me.
So what time is that at? Just so everybody knows.
I think I'm gonna be there 10 to 12.
Okay.
I can stay later if need be, I can come earlier.
Which is now over.
So there's a lot of work that goes into that coming before us, with work from both the treasurer collector and the town accountant and the assessor and the town administrator. So I'd like to thank all of them for getting that before
Absolutely.
us. It takes a lot of effort.
A very nice job done as per usual. All right. Next on the agenda, we have a discussion regarding the potential interim town administrator and our next steps. So, Kirk, you were able to watch the last interview incorrectly on
All right,
that?
I didn't get that update, so.
Yeah, yep.
No,
Back
so-
up.
You had to read the fact
Rewind.
that he was named as, and then later on the real person's name.
Yeah,
Confusing.
Okay.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So that was not a correct,
So he's, in effect, he's still available.
so he's still available, yeah.
So that,
So,
yeah,
yes, so no,
changes the
that,
network.
all three candidates are all still available.
Sorry, I was scanning fast and trying to catch up
Yeah,
as quick as I
that's
could.
okay. That's all right.
I'm still. I'm still contemplating whether we truly need somebody for just 8 weeks and how effective that could be.
Depends.
Personally.
Yeah. Well, it depends who we get.
I mean, we all have liaisons. We've hired all these people to run their departments and entrusted them in doing that. Do we really need a temporary person overseeing that?
The
Or
problem I
can we
see is
take-
if we have an issue arise, particularly of an HR nature, we don't have anybody who would be qualified to handle such an issue in the absence of a town administrator.
Well, you say that, but you've got management background. You have employees,
I also
right?
have a full-time job.
Well, and I do too.
Yeah,
So, yeah, I mean, we're going to get squeezed a little bit for the next 8 weeks. I obviously have management and employee experience. And Carol, you were the town administrator, so I don't know. In such a tight year, I'm really struggling with, can we afford to spend money that we don't have when we actually kind of have the talent right here? And I realize we're doing it for gratis, but whatever the gratis, but I mean, what's the best decision for the town? So that's just where I'm coming from. I'm just kind of on the fence on that. And how effective could somebody be in 8 weeks? Are we paying somebody $17,000 to sit there and just manage an HR problem if it should arise?
no. Certainly, there's a lot more that a town administrator
I-
does, which
I
is why we
understand
have
that.
a full-time town administrator.
I understand that.
If we could go 8 weeks, 2 months, without somebody sitting in that position, then that calls into question whether we need a town administrator at all, in my opinion. And I think that it goes without question to say that that is indeed a necessary component. We have a lot that goes on in this town that a lot of people just simply aren't aware of because they're not sitting in the town administrator's office day to day. But particularly during budget season, just to organize is
Budget season's a
huge.
whole deal thing.
Right, because right now, we're gonna be down our town administrator at a time when it is imperative that we have one, in my opinion, because of budget season. And it's not to say that we don't have a fantastic finance committee, we don't have a fantastic select board that can all get together and make decisions, and good decisions, going forward. But to have somebody there who can provide the necessary input and the questions, be a conduit for information, is just huge for me.
There's the one thing that I'll, I guess, agree to disagree on is that I understand the town administrator takes care of a lot of stuff. But not having one in that seat for 2 months is completely different than not having one in the seat at all.
That's a significant period of time, though.
It is, and
Right.
it's at a critical time. But I'm just thinking about the town.
I'm
and
not
their
going to
finances.
entertain any discussion right now. Go ahead.
I'm just thinking about where we're at financially right now as a town, and what's the most fiscally responsible thing we can do. So that's kind of where I'm at. Your turn.
I value your points, but having been in that position,
Carol, excuse me, can you pull the microphone?
Sorry. Having been in that position, you never know as a town administrator, as a department, what's going to come up on a day-to-day basis. I had my weekly talk with Heather this morning, and something came out of the blue that we never expected, and now needs a full support. The departments need that in between before they come to us, and that's very important. So I think if we choose the right person, municipal finance, municipal mass general law is same throughout all towns. So if someone's been a town administrator for a lengthy time, they'll be able to get into that position, answer emails, and be effective, even if it's only half the time that we would normally have a town administrator. Either on a daily basis, how many emails do you get that you have to respond to? Just average. One,
About 20,
two,
20 or 30.
yeah. So to come back to 30 times 2 months, that'd be a lot to be expected. And others' emails will be there. For the
Right.
town administrator to just sit there and wade through and deal with everything that comes before her. Otherwise, nobody would know.
Right.
So I think it's very important to have somebody in that position. Even though we're only budgeting for 20 hours, I think it's very important. And even if they don't get into the budget aspect, because that's what we're hearing, even if they don't get into the budget aspect, there's going to be plenty for them to do. It's going to be 20 hours worth, definitely.
But if those emails were filtered to the liaison assignments,
We won't be
of us,
able to do that.
That's
honestly.
10 a day.
No, you can't do that. You really can't. Because they'd all the background. As a town administrator, you're dealing with town administrators.
The town an interim's going to have less background than we will.
They'll soon catch up. If it's a professional town administrator, they'll soon catch up. That's my
Yeah.
opinion.
I'm just playing devil's advocate, that's all.
Yeah, I know, that's fine. That's fine.
I
And,
appreciate that.
Yeah, I
you're-
said I appreciate
that you're-
input.
Yeah, and I appreciate that you've had others come to you and give you this information,
Yeah.
and that you're willing to bring it up and have an open discussion.
This wasn't
I think that's
anyone that
important.
brought this information to me. It's just me thinking, is it, is
There's,
it the best option?
yeah. There's things that Heather's put forth that she's not going to be able to finish before she leaves. She's got earmarks out there. She's got grants. She's got procurement that may come up any time. And I don't think that's for us to do.
Right.
Neither is it department heads.
Right,
We have a town administrator for a reason.
yeah. I agree. All right, so with that, I'll entertain a motion, if somebody was willing to make one, to appoint one of our 3 candidates as the interim town administrator, and then a second for additional discussion, should it be necessary.
So moved.
You can name
Do you have
something?
a selection?
My first selection would probably be Charlie Blanchard because he's most familiar with the town.
Okay. Is
I
there a
second that.
Is there any discussion?
Julia, is there any public comment?
There's no public comment on this.
Excuse me?
I'm not entertaining any public comment on this. It's a select board decision.
An item this important?
I'm sorry?
An item this important, and you're not entertaining?
This is a
public
select
comment?
board decision.
There's a first and a second.
There's a first and there's a second. I would just like to add my additional comment that I think Charlie's a great selection. He is familiar with the town, which helps with getting him up to speed. He also has a significant amount of experience, so I would fully support.
The hard way of handling it.
Well, it is my discretion. And in this particular case, I feel, especially for you, Mark, you've had the opportunity, you've made your points and sent emails to all 3 select board members. So you've had the opportunity to make comments. And as an aside, I have your email here in correspondence, I've asked Donna to go ahead and file it with the select board correspondence for today's meeting. Go ahead, Neil.
Do I need a microphone, or can you hear me?
Yeah, microphone would probably be better.
Step right up here.
Scott, that's fine.
Don't turn them on.
All right, Neil Bagdis, 15 Brigham Road. I just kind of want to, I realize you took the vote, but if you would just, I had other questions, and at the town meeting, it's difficult to, I guess, raise them because Roger limits you to one or two. He did very well, and I told him after the meeting, I appreciated the fact that he let me continue a chain of thought that I had, or a train of thought. But so there was no discussion here other than an amount. Have we come up with hourly rates as to how this is going to be?
That'll be subject to negotiation between us and the interim town administrator, should you choose to accept the position.
Okay, and I want to just, I want to change this a different way, if you'll just bear me a little time here. You have a planned absence in this case because of a maternity leave. If something came up suddenly, a medical issue, and somebody had to be out of work for 6 or 8 or 10 weeks, whatever, say surgery and then recovery, what would the,
Superintendent most recently,
That was a retired one.
it was a retired DPW superintendent. They found somebody in town, essentially,
okay,
to do it.
and we don't have that option or that luxury or whatever? I guess when I was listening
It's not to pay. It's not to pay them.
No, I understand. But again, you mentioned to me, or mentioned before, that we're looking for a professional person, and that would justify the rate of pay. Not saying that if we were blessed with somebody in town that could do this, instead of $100 an hour, they could do it for $50 an hour, whatever.
No, when I said professional, I meant a person who does this for a living, a town administrator. And that's what we've just done. We've appointed somebody who's just come off a town administration position, previously a management position, a manager, still in municipal. He's been
Okay.
in municipal finance, municipal employment for over 20 years.
Okay.
Before that, he was involved in the town.
Okay, but just to go back to your discussion with Rutland hiring a retired DPW superintendent, they didn't have town administrator experience, they had management experience. And I am sure in our community.
Municipal experience.
Okay,
Yep.
all right, but if we got ourselves in a bind, municipal or management, I mean, I think they would gel together somehow, some way.
Not necessarily.
I mean, you have a job with management requirements, as Kirk said, you have a job, you've had experience. I mean, I own my own business, I have to manage that. There are several, this town is blessed with a lot of professional people.
I think in this particular case, Neil, we're blessed to have the luxury to be able to get somebody in. If we have to pay somebody regardless, right, to do this job, we are blessed with the luxury of being able to get somebody in who has actual town administration experience.
Okay.
With
and
the town.
make that money work for us the best that it can.
And the timing, I might add, is a little precarious with, the town budget coming up and.
Well, and as I brought up at the town the special, I call it, I'm just going to refer to it as the town meeting, if you 2nd or 3rd of January. That's a 3-week stint of the 8 weeks that you're looking for, that not a lot may be taking place.
I disagree.
disagree.
Disagree entirely. You
Okay,
don't have
well,
a party for 3 weeks.
how often are department heads meeting right now?
It's not all
It's not
about
just
that.
a department head
Nope.
meeting.
For-
I mean, in fact.
I heard a lot
those-
about budget.
The winter season is also an extremely busy season for issues to arise in terms of emergencies. We just recently had an issue with the COA heat being out that had to be looked at, that required town administrator involvement. The winter season is fraught with issues that can arise that require town administrator input. And so I think
DPW,
just
fire.
the thought process of there being holidays in there is a little short-sighted to
Yeah.
say
But
that that's a
still,
reason that there
any
will
of
be
those
things happening.
decisions
I
or
think we
choices would
closed
have
the
to come
one
before
day.
this board, whether it be an extra
necessarily.
meeting or something to that effect, if you're going to spend money or do things on an emergency basis, correct? Or what
No.
am I missing here?
Not
Donna's an assistant, I'm not,
Who's got a full-time job and is busy doing what she does.
I understand, but I'm just saying in terms of reviewing, if there were 15 or 20 emails that needed some attention, they can be filtered, so to speak. This is prioritized. This can wait for 10 days, 2 weeks, whatever, or bring it before you at a next meeting or something along that line.
And I
All
fully
right.
appreciate that, Neil, and I believe that there's some amount of that will still have to take place because the person coming in isn't going to be here full-time. They'll be here for 19 hours.
And how do we determine those, is it
We
4
negotiate
hours a
that.
day?
This
We'll
will be
determine-
negotiated.
Yeah.
It'll be subject to negotiation.
Okay, all right. And then I just have a couple other questions here. What happens if the leave of absence is extended for medical, some other reason?
That question was asked at town
So,
meeting.
yeah, I was the one that asked it.
It was answered.
So why are we asking it again?
Because I didn't understand the answer that I got. You have X number of dollars, so is that to be
Yep.
spent in a time, whether it's 8 weeks, 10 weeks, 12 weeks, 6 weeks, 4 weeks?
That will depend on the negotiation, right? So
Well-
depending on what the negotiated hourly rate is, that's how long we can stretch that person. We put the $15,000 in as a budget to be able to give us some wiggle room, hopefully. That's what our hope was, to have some wiggle room.
So is your
Okay.
question, what happens if that runs out and we're still?
Yeah, okay, let's start there, because I did some fast extrapolation here, and I just want, but yes, what happens if that runs out?
Depends on how long you're saying that there might be an absence. Then if it's going to be a long duration, then we'd have to take steps to keep that person on. If it was only a couple of days or a week, then maybe we'd be okay. But
So
we cross that bridge when
15,000,
we get to it.
15,000 could end up being 20 or 14, but
Could be 10.
Based on the information that we have at this time, we don't expect that there would be anything further than the 15,000.
okay, at 40 hours. That comes in excess of 200 grand.
What's your point?
Well, we don't pay our current town administrator at that level. So why would we negotiate for that level?
Nobody said we were negotiating for that level.
But there was a range in the warrant article.
Yep.
From 65 to, I think, 98 or $100 an hour.
That was based on the requests that were made by the candidates.
And it was explained at town meeting that interim town administrators are paid higher than regular town administrators because they gain no benefits.
It's a niche job.
So I don't like the expression, but is the tail wagging the dog? You have 3 candidates, they all get together and say, this is what we're going to ask for?
No.
No.
They each made their own request based on what they typically request because 2 of them, at least 2 of the 3, have prior interim experience.
And then, in my business, dealing municipal service and public safety and things like that, usually interims are done for a longer period of time. It's usually like 6 to 9 months, maybe a year. And the state has a pay scale that they've set for that based on, let's just say, a fire chief or an EMS coordinator, something like that, in terms of director. How do we get fair market value for an 8-week period? Again, I'm asking because if the candidates are
That's a
telling
really
you.
good question, because in that 8-week period, 4 weeks in, they're already gonna be looking for that next
Exactly.
short-stint gig. So,
Or getting ready to wind down to go.
i.e. the value that they charge to just come for 2 months.
So is it higher because the period is shorter?
No.
No, not
That's not my
necessarily,
understanding.
but
Okay, all right. And then, my other concern is, but I won't go there. 2 other things, if I may. Switching gears now. We'll let that one, hello there. All right. Just a formality, a procedural, what I call a mistake or a faux pas at the special town meeting. The warrant article for Olivia Knoll acceptance was sponsored by the planning board, not the select board.
I think that's just like an administrative thing.
No,
It was
but
probably
just
an error
saying,
on
when
my
the
part,
warrant-
but in
when
the
I saw it,
future
the
we can
warrant
fix
was
it.
already printed, so there was nothing to do about it. I wasn't going to make a big issue of it there, but the procedure is, plans come before the planning board.
Yep.
They get reviewed, we hold their feet to the fire, do everything that we have to do. When it's all buttoned up and ready to go, we put a nice bow on it, send it to you guys for legal to review, and then it comes back and says, okay, it's good to go.
Yep.
So that would have been sponsored by the planning board.
Thank you for the clarification.
Just, again, in the future, we don't have many projects ongoing, but that was one of the last ones. And then the last thing, just as a public service thing here, is we've had 2 plowable snows and Brigham Road is still open. So the motion that was made years ago was after the first plowable snow, and I know it's holiday time, so I'm not
Yeah.
in any rush, but if you could just have the highway superintendent put up the barricades and the signs, I would appreciate that.
We can certainly check in with him. I know he's been very, very busy.
Of course, as I've said, it's that time of year and whatever, but it's only going to get busier, and if we just get it done, and then usually it comes down May 1st, and I know it's usually 6 months. So one of the things I was thinking about is, would it be easier for DPW to look at a 6-month closure, say October 31st to May 1st, and then they don't have to worry about anything, waiting for that first plowable snow along those lines? It's just a suggestion. Okay?
Thank you, Neil.
Okay, thank you.
All right. I have nothing further on the agenda. Does either of you have anything further? Do either of you have anything further? Proper grammar?
No,
No?
nothing
All right.
further.
So with that, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 We are adjourned.